Hello everyone, I have a special report for you today. I received a call from someone that I know very well, and he had some recollection of an incident in a dream where he was flying and he saw drones and there was some other things going on there. So I decided to take a look at it, and I discovered something much more sinister behind this, is that he was being directed to a recycling, and that this was some kind of program where it was a prison work camp that was initiated. And of course, we all know that there are many prison work camps, and I've talked about different ones. I know that there was one on Betelgeuse and some others that I've looked at, but I think the moon, and of course there's one on, some on Mars, but in this case this was a Saturn one, and I was not happy to see that they have this full-blown camp. And in addition to that, if you do not toe the line or do exactly what they want you to do, and I think also this kind of allegiance to this female entity was also involved, which was very unnatural, kind of you have to devote your love and so forth. So when you fail from that camp, you end up in this space where they take your consciousness for recycling, and he saw himself surrounded by drones. But it gave him the impression that he was flying and that he had a parachute above him. But I asked if he could see his body. He was a little bit unclear about it, but as the more he thought about it, he didn't notice that part, but did sense also that he was rocking in a way. And so this is an indication that he was, in my opinion, put into the consciousness, was being placed into a receptacle, and that they were planning on doing something with his consciousness to recycle it and to get it to conform to what they wanted. So, of course, I asked him to disengage, pull himself back, don't take himself out of that prison situation. Your soul belongs to you. Reset everything back into the proper place and time. And that seemed to have helped him. But he also returned back with a kind of a sharp or an injury in the heart area. And so we later discovered that was the female entity that was demanding love, not requesting. And, if you reject that love, obviously these are some of the circumstances that you'll have to deal with. So when I was further researching and trying to find out who was initiating these programs, I saw that the being that I'm talking about is by the name Rhea, R-H-E-A, which was a Titan, but also goes by a variety of names, such as Sibel, which we have dealt with before, and her signature has been seen in Sibel. Sibel is one of the 12 monkeys that we've discussed much earlier. And in addition to that, there was some, I think Demeter and some other that they're essentially, calling herself Gaia, essentially calling herself like this divine earth mother. But if you are not loving and kind toward humanity, then you are not a good mother, are you? So we can disengage from her. I know that some people get very committed to some of these deities, but sometimes we have to see what they are. And if the so-called parent is abusive, it's time to cut off strings and don't be entangled with them any longer. So another thing I just want to mention, that all these fires breaking out in California, and typically, we know our Leonard Crumb, Dionysus, has been very involved in a lot of this stuff. And I haven't talked much about it, and I had to go separate, not engage. The only thing I could actually bring forth were maybe some regressions and some of Poe's work, because they had me kind of go a little deep. I haven't been able to do any of the Andronicus transmissions. It's almost like there was such an attack on the planet. There was such an attack, a shift of power structures and so forth, that I really had to pull away, assess what's going on. Not handling correctly could have been detrimental to myself, but to others as well. And so I thought it was wisest to kind of step away and really allow the perpetrators to rear their heads, so we can clearly see who are the culprits behind many of these agendas. Another thing that I discovered, which was quite interesting, is that there is a statue of Cybele. She is the Earth Mother goddess of Anatolia, and their rendition of Gaia, although she is merely someone from the future, from the lab of Andronicus way in the future, where they were creating androids. And so hardly a god, hardly a goddess. And anyhow, her presence is in the Getty Museum. And incidentally, there was quite a fire around that area. So was she spewing some of her hatred and anger because people are no longer worshiping her? This is a common trend with some of these so-called gods that, demand obedience, demand our full commitment above our family and the ones that we love, our spouses and partners, and they demand, complete devotion, and also expect us to be puppeted by them. So, we know that that's something that we don't have to do. So, and then I looked even deeper, and interesting, I was hearing one of the ones that was carrying this out. Of course, they, Rhea, Cybele, Demeter, whatever you want to call her, was belting out orders, and she has those that do initiate and follow through with the orders, and I asked who that was, and I heard the name Jeroboam, and I was like, Jeroboam, that sounds familiar. So I did a search, and there is someone by the name of Jeroboam who was a king and was the first king of the northern kingdom of Israel. According to the Hebrew Bible, describes the reign of Jeroboam to have commenced following a revolt of the 10 northern Israelite tribes against Rehoboam. And that put an end to the united monarchy. So I started thinking about this and saying, well, who is Rehoboam and who is he moving through? And here again, I could see Joaquin Phoenix. They're using his body to initiate certain actions and then be able to, is it him as a human? No. Is the entity that's moving through him doing this? Yes. And there's information on there. You can take a look at it, but let's go to who Rehoboam is. And some people are going to say, what in the world? What in the world are they talking about? This sounds crazy. Yeah, it is. It is crazy. It's crazy that humans are being taken off planet and being used, mistreated. Their souls are not being cared for properly. This is not in alignment with the divine source, and we do not consent. We don't agree. I'm saying this to everyone because I want everyone to disengage from them, cut it off, and become sovereign. So the parents, Rehoboam is the parent. The parent is Solomon in Naamah. He had a spouse by the name of Maacah, Maachah, and this was around the 900 BC somewhere. Rehoboam was the fifth and last king of the kingdom of Israel, but the first king of the kingdom of Judah, and was the son of and the successor of Solomon and a grandson of David. So anyhow, Rehoboam, what is their interest in what's happening on the planet? Are they the judge and the jury? Are they the ones that are making decisions because we are, people are not of the bloodline that they want? Or I don't know what this is and why they're involved. But anyhow, a good suggestion is to just cut off from them. We don't need them. We don't need... if there's a group that feels that they're elite and they're chosen and they're special above everyone else, then that means that they're not out for our higher interest, but it also means that they don't have to be our judges unless we are subservient to them. Their God doesn't have to be who we need to be under, and why they're following Rhea and Sibel is quite interesting, which makes me wonder, is this their God? One of their gods, but they're obedient. Anyhow, let's break all ties, vows, contracts, in all time, space, reality, past, present, future, alternate space, in between space, pocket realities, quantum space, parallels. In all historical accounts, our soul belongs to the divine source, does not belong to any group in particular, and does not belong to any particular culture. And we can align with our highest and best, and we do not have to consent or agree to any of these agendas, and we ask for protection from these rogue groups who have usurped the power structures of the planet for their own gain and benefit, to manipulate and to control whole races of society and people for whatever their gain is. These are not necessarily humans, although Sibel is in question. And Rhea, of course, moving through Sibel, is a Titan. But we do not have to be subservient to them if they have not supplied. If they have not been here to help humanity, then they do not have a right to judge us. And so I'm asking everyone to just, I break vows with them, break ties, and ask to be reset. Let's say we want to be reset to our proper timeline. And any beings that choose to go and follow after that, to be brought to their timeline, to be dealt with accordingly if they want to be under that slave system and be under the control of Rhea, Sibel, Demeter, and Jeroboam and Rehoboam, then so be it. That's their choice, but we're choosing not to be. So, and I thought it was really important for me to warn you of this. There's a lot of these type of incidences going on. I feel like it's not just the physical fires that we've been putting out, but also the spiritual fires of those wanting to extract souls at this time. And this is one of many that I have caught them. I have evidence and can see what they're doing, and it just needs to stop right now. So as soon as you retract the power structure from your system, from your timeline, then we can, it will probably bring you into another shift, help you so that you are not in an unending scenario where you are never able to being in a winning situation, because being in their slave system, you will always be under thumb. You'll always be in a situation where you cannot move forward. So we need to pull away from these very old systems that we have been convinced, manipulated into believing that they are over us. But it's because we've accepted that is the only reason why. So trying to hold back some anger and frustration over this. And I hope you understand that, this is for you. So you make that choice. Everyone has free will. We don't need to be subservient to any particular group, any false god, in any type of dealings where we're in an unending servitude and never able to get the things that we need in this lifetime. Expect your sovereignty. Continue to be free. Lots of love. Take care. Thank you.